At 11:47 p.m., the office was nearly empty. Ethan Carter sat at the conference table, exhausted, staring at a presentation that kept falling apart on the screen in front of him. Budget numbers were off. 2 slides had vanished. The client notes contradicted the revised strategy they had spent all afternoon building. Across from him, Claire Bennett was still working, still focused, still somehow composed after 14 straight hours of fixing problems that should never have become theirs. They had been at it for hours. Ethan leaned back in his chair, scrubbed a hand down his face, and gave a dry laugh that sounded more tired than amused. There has to be an easier way to live than this. Claire kept typing. That sounds like the beginning of a terrible idea. He looked at her, at the soft light from the laptop reflecting off her cheek, at the loose strand of hair she had pushed back 3 times and given up on. The words came out before he thought about them. Marry me. It was a joke, just a stupid line thrown into the middle of a brutal deadline. Ethan had already glanced back at his screen before the words fully settled in the room. Then Claire went still. He looked up. She was staring at him with an expression he had never seen on her face before, too steady, too open, too serious for anything playful. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet. I've been waiting for you to say that for years. The room seemed to lock around him. Ethan said nothing. He could not. Claire had always been the one person who moved easily through the guarded life he had built after his divorce. The one person who knew how to stand close without asking for more. She knew his routines, his silences, his daughter Lily's favorite snacks, the shape of the life he kept tightly controlled. And now, with one sentence, she had changed all of it. Before the story goes any further, if you enjoy heartfelt stories about second chances, family, and love that arrives quietly but stays for good, subscribe and follow the channel so you don't miss the next one. Claire broke eye contact first. You don't have to say anything tonight, she said, closing her laptop with careful hands. Actually, it's probably better if you don't. She slid the computer into her bag, tucked the charger away, and stood. Ethan was still sitting there, one hand on the table, as if moving too fast would make the moment more real. Claire. But she shook her head, not sharply, just enough to stop him. I mean it, she said, not because I want an answer I have to drag out of you, and not because I think you owe me one after a bad joke and a late night. I'm tired of pretending I didn't hear something I've wanted to hear for a very long time. He stared at her, his mouth dry. Claire gave him a tired, sad little smile that hurt more than anger would have. Go home, Ethan. Then she left him alone in the conference room with a broken slide deck and a sentence he could not unhear. I've been waiting for you to say that for years. He heard it all the way to the parking garage. He heard it driving home through streets washed silver by midnight traffic lights. He heard it as he climbed the stairs to his apartment. He heard it when he paused in Lily's doorway and looked at his 7-year-old daughter sleeping on her stomach, one arm wrapped around a stuffed rabbit with a missing ear. Ethan stepped inside quietly and pulled the blanket higher over her shoulder. Lily did not wake. She only made a small sound in her sleep and tucked her face deeper into the pillow. That was the center of his life. Everything came back to her. Keep things steady. Keep things calm. Do not let uncertainty into the parts of her world he had fought so hard to rebuild. Most people thought Ethan Carter was simply disciplined. At work, he was the dependable one, calm under pressure, thoughtful in meetings, the man who always knew the next step and the backup plan after that. At home, he paid bills on time, packed lunches the night before, signed school forms, scheduled dentist appointments, and kept his apartment running with the clean efficiency of a life too organized to fall apart. Nobody seemed to understand that structure was not his personality. It was his defense. Years ago, at the end of his marriage, Rachel had told him he lived like disappointment was always coming, and he wanted credit for seeing it first. He had hated hearing that because it was true. After the divorce, he had briefly tried to let someone else into his life. It had not lasted. The worst part had not been losing the woman. It had been Lily, small and confused, asking why that person had stopped coming around. He had promised himself then that no one would ever become important to his daughter unless Ethan was sure they would stay. Since then, he had learned how to live inside narrow lines. Then Claire had looked at him and told him she had been waiting for years. The next morning, his alarm went off at 6, though he had barely slept. Ethan forced himself through the routine. Shower, coffee, waffles in the toaster. Lily's lunch packed into the dinosaur lunchbox she insisted she had outgrown but still refused to replace. At 6:14, his phone buzzed. Hope Lily remembered her library book and the blue folder. It was on the couch last night. No mention of the office. No mention of his joke or her answer. Just a practical message from Claire, as if the world had not shifted under his feet. Ethan turned and found both items exactly where she said they were. Lily padded into the kitchen in pink socks and an oversized camp t-shirt. "Did Claire text you?" He looked up too quickly. "Why would you ask that?" She climbed onto her chair. "Because she remembers stuff you forget." Ethan set the blue folder beside her backpack. "I don't forget that much." Lily gave him a look only children could manage, equal parts doubt and affection. "You forgot my library book twice." She remembered because I told her yesterday. "Uh-huh." He handed her a plate. She drowned the waffle in syrup and took a bite. "Are you asking Claire to come to the art fair Friday?" Ethan reached for his coffee. "I don't know." "You should. She said she wanted to see my city." Lily had been working on a cardboard city for 2 weeks, painting tiny houses and cutting crooked windows out of cereal boxes. Claire had seen the first sketches when she stopped by one evening with extra printer paper Ethan had forgotten to buy. At school drop-off, Lily unbuckled her seatbelt, then leaned forward from the back seat. "Don't forget this time." "What?" To ask Claire. Before he could answer, she was out of the car, lifting her project carefully from the seat beside her. Ethan watched her disappear into the school building carrying a glittered cardboard bridge. The office felt wrong when he walked in. Claire was already at her desk, coffee beside her laptop, reviewing revisions with the same neat focus she always had. She looked up once. "Morning." "Morning." That was all. She did not corner him. She did not avoid him either. She simply moved through the day as if the only thing that mattered between them was work. By lunch, Ethan was starting to understand how much easier it had been when he could pretend he was the only one managing boundaries. "You look terrible," Mason Reed said, dropping into the chair across from him in the break room with a protein bar and no invitation. "Thanks. You know that wasn't a compliment." Ethan kept his eyes on the spreadsheet open on his laptop. Mason unwrapped the protein bar. "So, you and Claire finally have the world's quietest breakup, or what?" Ethan looked up. There was nothing to break up. Mason chewed once and shrugged. "Sure." "Mind your business." "I am. You look distracted enough to ruin mine." Mason leaned back. "Look, man, I'm not trying to be obnoxious, but the whole office can tell something's off." "There's a deadline. That's what's off." Mason's expression made it clear he did not believe that for a second. "Okay." He stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, Claire turned down a better job once already. People usually don't stay where they are unless they have a reason. Ethan frowned. "What are you talking about?" But Mason only lifted one shoulder and walked out. The comment sat in Ethan's mind all afternoon. Claire had been part of his life for so long that he rarely stopped to ask how she got there. She was the one who knew Lily hated grape medicine, the one who always remembered school deadlines, the one who showed up with soup on the winter evening Ethan had texted, half joking, that the neighborhood pharmacy was closed and Lily was burning up with fever. The one who could stop by after work and sit on Ethan's couch with a glue stick and a pile of construction paper while Lily explained a school project with the seriousness of a city planner. None of it had happened all at once. Claire had become essential the way some people became permanent landmarks, quietly, while no one was looking closely enough to notice. Late that afternoon, Ethan found her alone in a smaller conference room sorting client packets into folders. "Claire," she looked up. "Do you need something?" The formal tone bothered him more than it should have. "We can't keep doing this." "Doing what?" "Pretending nothing happened." Claire placed one folder on top of another. "I'm not pretending. I'm respecting the answer you're giving me." "I haven't given you an answer." Her gaze lifted to his and stayed there. "You have, just not out loud." He did not know what to say to that because she was right. Claire rested her hands on the table. "I didn't tell you how I felt to pressure you. I told you because I was tired of carrying it alone." "It's not that simple." "I know it's not." Her voice remained calm, but there was strain under it now. "Do you think I haven't thought about your life? About Lily? About what this would mean if we got it wrong?" Ethan looked away first. "If you don't feel the same, I can handle that," she said. "What I can't handle is being told with your silence that I imagined everything." He looked back at her. "You didn't imagine it." The room went still. Claire's eyes did not leave his face. "Then say something honest." He wanted to. He wanted to tell her everything all at once. That he thought of her before he let himself mean to. That he knew the sound of her footsteps in the hall. That half the peace in his life had her fingerprints on it. Instead, he reached for the habit that had protected him for years. "I can't do anything reckless." Claire's expression changed in a way so small no one else would have seen it. Ethan did. "Loving someone isn't the reckless part," she said softly. "Pretending you don't might be." Then she picked up the folders and walked past him. That night, Lily noticed his mood before dinner was half over. "You're doing your bad thinking face," she said, stabbing a green bean with her fork. "I have one face." "No, you don't," she squinted at him. "This is the one where you act weird and don't hear me the first time." Ethan almost smiled. "That specific, huh?" "Yes." He looked down at his plate. "Things are complicated right now." "Is it work?" "Sort of." Lily took another bite, then said, "Is it Claire?" Ethan set down his fork. "Why do you keep asking that?" "Because whenever stuff feels weird, it's usually Mom or Claire." The answer landed harder than she meant it to. Rachel was still in Lily's life, but unevenly. Phone calls that got rescheduled. Weekends that changed at the last minute. Promises made with good intentions and kept badly. Lily had learned early not to count too heavily on anything uncertain. Claire was the opposite. When she said she would come, she came. After dinner, Lily spread pieces of her project across the living room rug. Ethan knelt beside her to help tape a tiny rooftop into place. "Which house is ours?" he asked. "This one." Lily pointed to a yellow cardboard house with blue windows. "There are 3 people in it." Lily kept pressing the tape flat. "I know." He stared at the small paper figures inside the drawn living room. One tall, one little, one with brown hair. "You made Claire. She likes yellow houses." Ethan looked at his daughter, at the matter-of-fact way she said it, as if some things had been obvious for a long time and adults were simply slow. Friday arrived with Lily's art fair and Claire nowhere in sight. Ethan had almost texted her twice that morning and stopped himself both times. The first because he did not know what to say. The second because he knew exactly what he wanted to say and feared it. The school multi-purpose room smelled like paint, glue, and cafeteria pizza. Parents moved from table to table admiring projects and taking too many pictures. Lily stood beside her cardboard city with her hands clasped behind her back, waiting seriously while people complimented the tiny park and crooked library. Claire did not come. Lily tried to hide her disappointment, but Ethan saw the way she checked the doorway every few minutes. On the drive home, she stared out the window and said, "Did Claire have a lot of work?" "Probably." "Oh." It was such a small sound. It stayed with him all evening. The following Monday, it rained. Ethan stood under the school awning holding an umbrella while Lily wrestled with her backpack zipper. "You forgot to sign my reading log," she said. "I'll do it tonight." "You said that yesterday." He took the sheet from her. "I'll do it tonight." Lily studied him. You still should talk to Claire. We'll see. That means no. Before he could answer, the crossing guard waved the children across. Lily ran a few steps, then turned back. Don't wait too long again. Ethan watched her disappear inside. The office was already alive when he got there. Claire was in a meeting with Mason and Olivia Brooks from finance, walking them through a revised client budget with clipped, efficient focus. Ethan caught the edge of Olivia's voice in the hall after the meeting ended. Still thinking about Hartwell? Claire answered too quietly for Ethan to hear. By the time he reached the room, Olivia was gone and Claire was closing her laptop. Hartwell? Ethan asked. Claire's eyes lifted. Why? I heard Olivia. She talks too much. That's not an answer. Claire slung her bag over her shoulder. Neither is most of what you say when this topic comes up. She moved past him before he could stop her. The day crawled. At 7:12 p.m., the office had finally emptied enough to feel honest again. Claire stood by the break room window, wrapping her charger cord around her hand. Rain streaked the glass. Ethan stopped a few feet away. I handled this badly, he said. Claire let out a humorless breath. That's one way to put it. He nodded. I know. She waited. I'm not avoiding this because I don't care. No? Her voice was still but not soft. Then why? Because caring had consequences. Because once Lily loved someone, Ethan would spend every day wondering if he had misjudged the future. Because wanting something this much made him feel less stable than he knew how to tolerate. He looked at her. Because I do care. Something flickered across Claire's face. He kept going before he could stop himself. More than I ever meant to. Claire lowered the charger onto the table. Ethan, don't say that unless you're going to finish it. He took one breath. I'm in love with you. The words did not fix anything, but once they were out, he felt the relief of truth. Claire stared at him, as if the sentence was one she had prepared never to hear. How long? She asked. He gave a weak, disbelieving laugh. I don't know. Maybe since the winter Lily had the flu and you showed up with soup and a thermometer. Maybe since the company picnic when Lily skinned her knee and reached for you before she reached for me. Maybe since I realized you knew the shape of my life better than most people who have known me twice as long. Claire swallowed. But, she said, there it was, the real conversation. Ethan leaned one hand against the back of a chair. This isn't just about us. No, Claire said. It never was. I can't let Lily get dragged into another situation that doesn't last. Claire folded her arms. Do you think I haven't thought about that? I know you have. Then stop talking like I'm asking you to be careless. He flinched. Claire took one steadying breath. I have loved you carefully for years, Ethan. I stayed where you were comfortable letting me stay because I knew your life wasn't simple, and because Lily deserves kindness. Don't act like that means I don't understand what I'm choosing. I'm not saying you don't. Then tell me what you're actually afraid of. He looked at the rain. After the divorce, there was someone. Not for long, but Lily liked her, and when it ended, Lily kept asking where she went. His voice tightened. I told myself I'd never put Lily through that again. Claire was quiet. And Rachel, he exhaled. Rachel used to say I was always preparing for disappointment. I hated it because she was right. I know how to keep things stable. I know how to make sure Lily has what she needs. I don't know how to open up to something this important and not feel like I'm gambling with her life, too. Claire's gaze did not soften, but it deepened. You're afraid of hurting Lily. I know that. But you're also afraid of needing someone enough that losing them would wreck you. That part is yours, Ethan. Don't put all of it on her. He had no answer. Claire's voice lowered. I love you. I love Lily. I love your impossible schedule and your overstocked medicine cabinet and the way your apartment is always one school form away from chaos, no matter how hard you try to keep it neat. I'm not confused about what comes with you. I'm choosing it. The question is whether you're ever going to stop deciding for me that the cost is too high. I'm trying. No, she shook her head. You're measuring. You're weighing every possible risk and calling that wisdom. That's not fair. It's exactly fair. Her eyes brightened, though her voice stayed controlled. Do you know what it's like to care about you this much while you keep acting like the feeling itself is the problem? I'm not asking for promises you can't make. I'm asking you not to love me in silence and call that noble. Ethan stepped back, instinct already pushing him toward caution, toward more time, toward later. Claire saw it happen on his face. There, she said quietly. That's the part of you that would rather lose something good than risk failing at it. She picked up her bag. Claire, you don't need more time to know how you feel. You need courage to live with what you already know. She walked out, leaving Ethan alone with the rain and the sound of his own breathing. The next 2 weeks were worse, not because there was uncertainty anymore, but because there was none. Ethan loved Claire. Claire loved him. They still came to work every day and sat through meetings and traded edits and answered client emails. Claire remained generous, professional, impossible to fault, but she no longer lingered by his desk. She no longer texted reminders about school forms or Lily's inhaler refills. She no longer asked whether he had eaten lunch. The absence was quiet. It was also everywhere. Lily noticed it too. One Saturday afternoon, she sat at the coffee table with crayons scattered around her elbows. Ethan was rinsing soup bowls when she asked, "Why doesn't Claire come over now?" He dried his hands on a towel. "She's busy." Lily made a face that suggested this was a bad answer. "She was busy before." He sat down across from her. Lily held up the page she was working on. In large, uneven letters, she had written, "Things that make a house better." Under it were 6 items: blankets, music, movie night, plants, pancakes, people who stay. Ethan looked at the last line until the words blurred. That night, he called Mason. Mason answered on the second ring. "If this is about the Henderson account, I'm hanging up." "It's not work." A pause. "Okay, that's somehow worse." Ethan sat on the couch with one arm draped over the back. "Did Claire turn down a job because of me?" Mason was silent for half a second too long. "You'd have to ask her." "That's not an answer either." "No," Mason admitted. "But yes. A couple years ago, Porter and Wren tried to recruit her. She stayed." "Why?" Mason's voice softened. "Come on, Ethan." He closed his eyes. Mason continued, "I'm not trying to be cruel here, but you keep acting like you're the only one who gets hurt if this goes wrong. You're not." Monday morning, Ethan walked past Claire's desk and saw an email printed neatly beside her keyboard under a folder stamped Hartwell Media Group. His stomach tightened. At lunch, he found Olivia in the kitchenette. "What's Hartwell?" he asked. Olivia blinked. "You mean why would they want Claire? Because they're not stupid. Are they offering her something?" Olivia hesitated just long enough to confirm it. "I didn't say that." That afternoon, Ethan intercepted Claire in the hall. "You're leaving?" She stopped. "Who told you?" "No one." "Then you shouldn't have been looking at my desk." "I wasn't snooping." Claire let out a breath. "I haven't accepted anything." "Are you going to?" She looked tired in a way he had never seen before. "I'm considering it." "Because of us?" "Because there is no us." She held his gaze. "And because I can't keep arranging my life around almost." "It's a good opportunity?" "Yes." "When were you going to tell me?" She laughed once without humor. "Probably around the same time you were planning to tell me whether I matter in your future." He said nothing. Claire's face tightened. "I'm not doing this to force you into a decision, Ethan. I'm trying to choose a life that doesn't depend on waiting for you to become brave." She walked away before he could answer. That evening, he came home to Lily at the kitchen table doing homework with her pencil clenched in a serious fist. She looked up immediately. "You're late." "Traffic." He dropped his keys into the bowl by the door. Lily watched him for a second. "Is Claire moving away?" The question hit him so fast it left him speechless. "Why would you think that?" Because you look like when Grandma said Mom wasn't coming at Christmas. He sat down across from her. Nothing is decided, he said carefully. Lily traced a line around the edge of her worksheet. Is it because of me? The air left his lungs. No, absolutely not. Then why? He searched for words small enough for a 7-year-old and honest enough to matter. Sometimes grown-ups get scared. Of what? Of changing things. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that split him open. Is Claire going to stop being part of us? Ethan could not speak. Lily rushed to soften it. It's okay if you don't know. I just want to know if I should stop thinking she'll be here. Every explanation Ethan had ever trusted fell apart in that moment. He had told himself caution kept Lily safe. He had told himself distance was protection. He had told himself if he controlled enough, Lily would never have to feel the ache of someone uncertain. And yet here she was, already learning from him that love might be something people kept at the edge of their lives because losing it would hurt too much. That night, after Lily was asleep, Ethan sat at the kitchen table with her worksheet in front of him and finally let the truth settle all the way in. He had not been protecting everyone as well as he thought he was. He had been teaching his daughter to expect loss before joy had the chance to become real. By morning, he was too tired to lie to himself. He made waffles before school, even though it was a Tuesday and he never had time for weekday waffles. Lily sat at the counter in socks and watched him with immediate suspicion. Why are you making real breakfast? Because I felt like it. You only feel like it on Saturdays. He set a plate in front of her. Maybe I'm improving. She cut the waffle into squares. Did you figure something out? Maybe. That means yes. He leaned against the counter and looked at her. I'm going to talk to Claire. Lily nodded, satisfied. Good. At drop-off, she paused with her backpack half on one shoulder. Don't do the thing where you think forever. What thing? The thing where you wait so long everything gets sad. Then she ran toward the school doors. Ethan sat in the car afterward with both hands on the wheel and laughed once under his breath, because apparently even his daughter had been waiting for him to catch up to the truth. He went to the office, lasted until late afternoon, and finally understood he was not going to survive another day of pretending spreadsheets mattered more than what he needed to do. At 4:37 p.m., he texted Claire, "Can we talk tonight? Please." She answered 11 minutes later. "I have dinner with Olivia. After?" A pause. "If you want." That was enough. He walked into Mason's office at 5:12 and said, "I need you to take the 7 o'clock call." Mason looked up from his laptop. "That sounds dramatic." "It is." Mason searched his face, then sat back. "You're serious?" "Yes." "Why?" Ethan did not look away. "Because if I wait any longer, I'm going to lose the best thing that's happened to me in years and call it responsibility." Mason shut his laptop. "That may be the smartest sentence you've ever said. Go." Claire got home after 8. Ethan was waiting in the parking area across from her building, leaning against his car, his nerves shot clean through. When Claire stepped out of Olivia's sedan, laughing faintly at something Olivia had said, the sight of her hit him hard enough that for 1 second, he understood exactly how close he had come to building a future without this. Olivia saw him first and raised both brows. "Well, about time." Claire turned, followed Olivia's gaze, and stopped walking. Olivia looked between them once, then held up her car keys. "I'm going to pretend this is none of my business, even though it absolutely is." She squeezed Claire's arm, gave Ethan a warning look that suggested she would kill him herself if this went badly, and drove away. Claire stood in the parking lot with her purse over one shoulder, watching Ethan. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Talking to you." "I thought we covered that. You don't do it very well." "I know." The honesty of that seemed to catch her off guard. Ethan took one step closer. "Please don't leave yet." Claire stayed where she was. "You can't keep deciding everything is urgent only when it starts hurting you." "You're right." She blinked once. "You've been right about a lot of things," he said. "I just didn't want to hear them." Claire shifted her purse higher on her shoulder, waiting. Last night, Lily asked me if she should stop thinking you'd still be here. The change in Claire's face was immediate. She thought maybe that was safer, Ethan said, because I've spent so much time acting like the only way to love someone is to prepare for them to leave. Claire's eyes shone, but she said nothing. I thought I was protecting her, he continued. I thought if I was careful enough, if I refused anything uncertain soon enough, I could spare her the pain of losing people. He shook his head once. But all I've done is teach her that fear gets to decide what becomes part of our lives. Claire looked down at the wet pavement, then back at him. I love you, Ethan said. Not in the quiet, careful way I've been hiding behind. I love you. I have for longer than I know how to say. And I'm done acting like saying it out loud is the dangerous part. Claire held his gaze, still and unreadable. I'm not here to ask for more time, he said. I'm not here to ask you to keep understanding me while I give you nothing certain in return. I'm here because I want to choose you clearly. Not later. Not when it feels safe enough. Now! The parking lot was silent except for the distant hiss of passing traffic. Claire's voice, when it came, was quiet. And what happens the next time you get scared? Then I tell you I'm scared, he answered immediately. I don't hide behind Lily. I don't hide behind logic. I don't decide for you what you can handle. I stopped treating love like something I can manage from a distance. She looked at him for a long moment. You can't promise this will be easy. No. You can't promise Lily will never get hurt by anything again. No. You can't promise that loving each other means we'll never have bad timing or hard seasons or real life in the way. I know. His voice roughened. But I can promise I won't keep pretending fear is wisdom while it ruins everything good in front of me. Claire closed her eyes for one brief second. When she opened them again, some of the distance was gone. I got the Hartwell offer 3 weeks ago, she said. I know. I haven't accepted it. I know that too. Claire let out a short, disbelieving breath. Of course you do. I don't want you to stay because you're hoping I'll eventually become someone else. Her gaze sharpened. Then why do you want me to stay? Because when Lily builds a paper house, she puts 3 people in it. He stepped closer, close enough now that the words felt like they belonged exactly where they were being said. Because when something goes wrong, both of us think of you before we say your name. Because my life has already shaped itself around your presence, and pretending that doesn't matter hasn't protected anyone. It's just made me lonely in a life that didn't have to be. Claire's mouth parted slightly. He kept going. I'm not asking you to fill some empty space. You're not a replacement for what my family used to be or what it lacks. You are the woman I love, and I want a real life with you. One we build slowly, carefully, honestly, but for real. For a moment, Claire just looked at him. Then, very quietly, she said, Do you know how tired I was? He swallowed. I know I made you tired. That's not the same thing. No, he nodded. It isn't. Claire lowered her purse to the hood of Ethan's car. Waiting for you felt like trying to love someone who wanted everything I gave but was terrified to name it. He closed his eyes for a second. I'm sorry. This time she let the apology land. They stood in the soft, yellow light of the parking lot, neither moving. Finally, Claire said, If we do this, we do it honestly. Yes. No disappearing into your head for a week when things feel big. Yes. No using Lily as a shield when what you really mean is that you're afraid. Yes. Claire exhaled shakily. And I am not standing on the edge of your life anymore, Ethan. He stepped close enough to touch her hand. You won't have to. That answer reached her. Claire looked at him, then laughed softly through the shine in her eyes. You make everything harder than it needs to be. So I've heard. And you do not get extra credit for finally figuring this out. I know. She shook her head, still almost smiling. Good. When he touched her face, it was with a gentleness that made her eyes close before he kissed her. The kiss carried years inside it. Careful affection, restraint, longing, lost time, and the overwhelming relief of truth finally spoken in full. Claire's hand came up to the front of his coat, gripping the fabric lightly as if to confirm he was real and still there. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his chest for one brief second. "I haven't told Hartwell yes," she said. "Do you want to?" Claire drew back enough to look at him. "Not if staying means this is real." "It is." She studied his face, making sure. Then she nodded once. "Okay." They went upstairs to her apartment and spent nearly an hour talking on the couch like two adults who understood that love, once named, still needed shape. They talked about Lily first. Claire would not rush into a role no one had asked her to play. Ethan would not toss Lily into sudden change just because he was finally being honest. They would move carefully, but not fearfully. Claire would come for dinner. They would talk to Lily in a way that felt natural and true. They would let whatever came next grow in the open instead of in silence. They talked about work, about office gossip, about boundaries, about whether Hartwell should still be considered if Claire wanted it for herself rather than as an escape. At one point, Ethan admitted, "Part of me is still going to panic now and then." Claire nodded. "Then panic. Just don't run." The next evening, Claire came over for dinner. Nothing about it was dramatic. Ethan made pasta. Lily insisted on setting the table herself and put the forks in the wrong place. Claire arrived with a small basil plant because she said every kitchen needed something alive in it. Lily watched the two of them all through dinner with the narrowed eyes of a child certain something important had changed. Afterward, she dragged Claire into the living room to see the cardboard city again. "I fixed the bridge," Lily announced. Claire bent to inspect it seriously. "Strong structural decision." Lily pointed to the tiny yellow house. "That's still ours." Claire glanced up at Ethan, then back at Lily. "That's a nice house." "There are still 3 people," Lily said carefully. "I wasn't sure if I should change it." Claire's expression softened. "You don't have to change it if you don't want to." Lily hesitated. "So you're still going to be here?" Claire answered before Ethan could. "Yes, I'm still going to be here." Lily nodded once, as if a private worry had finally settled. Then she held up one of the paper trees. "Good. This one kept falling over." Later, after Lily was asleep and Claire was gathering her coat, Ethan walked her to the door. The apartment was quiet, warm, different in some small but unmistakable way. Claire slipped her hand into his. "You know," she said, "for a man who proposed as a joke, you've improved." Ethan smiled. That was a stress response. I'm still improving. Slowly. Still counts." Claire rose on her toes and kissed him once, light and sure. "It counts." When she left, Ethan stood for a moment in the middle of the living room. The dishes still needed drying. Lily's reading log still had to be signed. There would still be school pickups, client emergencies, grocery lists, unpredictable calls from Rachel, and all the ordinary weight of a life that did not pause for romance. Nothing magical had removed the hard parts, but something at the center had changed. For years, Ethan had confused loneliness with discipline and caution with love. He had told himself a functioning life was the same thing as a full one. He knew better now. A home was not just something you kept from falling apart. Sometimes, if you were brave enough, it became the place where the right people stayed. And if this story reminded you that love is not about perfection, but about honesty, courage, and choosing not to let fear make every important decision for you, then subscribe and follow the channel. There are more stories here about second chances, family, and the quiet kinds of love that can change a life.